Archaeator.
Hello and welcome to our Archaeator tutorial for uploading datasets to Wikidata with OpenRefine.
In this video, we will show you how to upload a large dataset from any kind of spreadsheet on Wikidata using OpenRefine. We will show you an example with an Excel table.
First of all, you want to get your OpenRefine via Pause and JupyterLab to create your own project and upload your dataset to work with. Therefore, you have to follow a path of websites. You can find all mentioned links in the video description. Start by going to Wikidata Tools, OpenRefine and open Pause. Once at Pause, click at Pause a Web Shell, and a new window opens where you have to sign in with your Wiki account. If you don't have an account yet, now is the time to create one. Logged in, you will find yourself in JupyterLab. Here you can find a number of different services. The only one we are interested in right now is to open OpenRefine and create our own project. If you've already started a project and are coming back, you can access your project at the left.
Ideally, you've already made the spreadsheet with the statements of Wikidata in mind because it will be easier to handle and organize. Then you can upload your dataset as a spreadsheet here. As you can see, we chose our Excel sheet.
Once you have successfully uploaded your dataset, check it in the preview. You probably have to adjust a few things to prepare the table. For example, you can adjust the name of the project. Ours is called OpenRefine Upload Archaeator. I deleted the Excel file extension. Make sure that the first row is the column headers by clicking Parse One Line. If not chosen, your properties and qualifiers will be in a separate row. And for the schema later, it's important to have the names right. If needed, click Discard and insert a number of columns or rows of data you don't want to transfer, and continue working with. In our example, the second and third row were just filled with an explanation or empty, but do not contain relevant data. If you're happy with the preview, now click Create Project and the fun can begin.
At first, only 10 rows will appear, but don't panic. If you uploaded more rows, this is just the first page. You can easily adjust the readout to your size of dataset. For our example, 25 is sufficient to show everything. If you find yourself having a column with text and numbers mixed, this is a sign that there are probably going to be two statements in Wikidata, which means you have to separate them. It's best to split the column before the next steps. For our example, our statement described by source contains the author, the pages, and the figures, which will be qualifiers for the source. The column at the comma. Now you have 3 separate columns for the literature. You can rename them. Ours is now divided into described by source, pages, and identified in image by. Now the description in the first row is correct and can later be directly used as qualifiers. Qualifiers are additional statements belonging to a property.
We should also check and correct our cells for small editing errors. Therefore, click Edit Cell and Comment Transform and trim leading and trailing white space. Now we would have to repeat this process for every column, or we just edit them all at once. We click at Edit All Columns and choose Trim Leading and Trailing White Space. Repeat the process to collapse consecutive white space. Now, no white space we might have overlooked will interfere with our data.
The next and most important step is to connect the rows to Wikidata entries if they already exist. This is called reconciling. For that, we go back to a column, click Reconcile, and start reconciling. Here we choose Wikidata. At this point, other databases would be available under Discover Series. However, we want to work with Wikidata. Click Next and then choose a property. If the one suggested fits, just like in this case, no need to change it. After the process is finished, check if the reconciled item is the correct one. 3 of our 11 items are not matched. Let's look at them. For Heilig-Geist-Spital Ravensburg, more than one item is suggested. We can have a look at the items. It's the hospital and the hospital chapel. The whole hospital building corresponds to our data, therefore we click at this entry. There also seems to be a problem with the Heilig-Geist-Spital in Mainz. Under Search for Match, we can search directly in Wikidata for this item. Apparently, there's a typo, 2L in Heilig. Still doesn't work. Maybe it's written differently? Let's try Spital instead of hospital. And yes, in Wikidata it is written as Spital. We should add hospital later as an alias. Das Xenodochium in Porto could not be found because of the German article. Searching just for Zenodo document portal appears to be the right item and we can match it. If no result was found, you can use this search directly in Wikidata. If there is still no result, you should check your spelling or labeling of the data, just as we did.
In case that there really is no entry on Wikidata yet, you have to create that. However, before creating a new item, be careful to check again if it may already be on Wikidata with a different name to make sure that you don't create a second dataset and lose information by not connecting the two entries.
Now we have to repeat the process for other properties. Again, we go to the column Instance of, click on Reconcile and choose Wikidata. Combined Facilities is suggested as entity, so we go with it. Apparently, it only matched building complex. So we can reconcile one cell with building by hand. It is suggested right away. And make sure that match other cells with the same content is selected. And voila, all entries with building are automatically reconciled. For has use, we have many different values. But we start the same way as before and choose one value. Doesn't matter which one, to start the process. Now we are able to reconcile the others separately. By clicking the double hook, we automatically adjust all similar cells, like here the Heiliggeistspital. For poor house, the suggested items were in right, even the one under see more. So we search it by hand again, and with the QID only the right item appears immediately. In Inception, we have years and centuries. So let's reconcile centuries first. The two cells are easily matched. For the years, we could try to reconcile years for the same column, but as you can see, our matched centuries are gone. So remember, if you reconcile again, your match is already made, will get lost, and you have to match them again. So think about what's the most important quantity in your column, and then do the rest by hand.
Exactly. That's why the prep work is so important. Write the information with the possibilities of Wikidata in mind. No long sentences or explanations. Keep it simple with dates and numbers only, keywords and Wikidata statements. Ideally, you already know the QIDs.
And just like that, all dates are reconciled. The source is just one match for the whole column. But I do not like the suggested entities. I know we have the reconcile against written work to find my source, so I insert that before I reconcile. Obviously, the abbreviation UC is no hit. It stands for Ulrich Kremer, the author of the publication, which is called Das Hospital als Bautyp des Mittelalters, and this is our source. Again, match all cells at once for convenience. We can leave the entries for pages and figures as it is, because these will be the text fields for the qualifiers. If you don't have information for all rows, that's no problem, and it does not hinder the upload.
If you have a large dataset to work with, you can also apply different filters to see only objects that are blank or matched, simply by clicking on it. You can even reconcile with this filter on. Good to know, if some of your information or statements are already on Wikidata, nothing happens. Only new data can be added.
So don't be afraid, you can only contribute to the Wikiverse. When everything is matched and you are happy with how the table looks, you have to create the structure for how and where the data should appear on Wikidata. This is called creating the schema. So, click at Wikibase, edit Wikibase schema, and you get this tab. Now you have to add an item. Drag the first column, anchor column, with all your research objects in. This is the heading, so the Wikidata entry itself. Then you add statements by searching them manually and dragging in the corresponding columns consisting of properties and values. For example, we want to say under the property instance of whether the hospital was only one building or a whole building complex. Under the property has used, we want the values given in the column has used to be displayed. Same goes for Inception and the dates. Lastly, we want each of the entries to have the property described by source. Here we have 3 columns. The first is the book itself. Then we want to add the qualifiers pages and identified an image by to the property described by source. So we simply add pages and drag down our column, same for the figures. Very good. Now save your schema in case you want to apply it to other projects.
The last step remaining is to upload your prepared dataset to Wikidata. Therefore, check and correct issues if necessary, nothing to worry about in our table here, and check the preview one last time. Here you can see how it will be displayed at Wikidata and check if your schema is built correctly. For example, our qualifiers for the source are at the right spot. Then click on Wikibase and Uploads edits to Wikibase. You will have to log in to Wikidata again. As you can see, I am currently already logged in. For this step, you need a special password for uploads, but no worries. This is an easy and one-time step to achieve at this moment or beforehand. You have to generate a so-called bot password at this website. Log in Wikidata first, then open this link here and generate the password. This website is also linked in the video description. But back to the upload. Once you're logged in, you can now check the issues one last time. Then add a short description of your upload and click Upload.
Congratulations! You just uploaded your dataset to Wikiverse. Now you can search, visualize, and work with your data directly in Wikidata, or even add more information by uploading another dataset via OpenRefine.
For more information on how to work with Wikidata in a scientific research environment and how to model data within Wikidata statements, have a look at our article, Mapping Hospital Heritage with Wikifair, a proposal for research data management, linked in the video description. Thank you for listening and stay healthy.